Hello, everybody. Mariner here. Oh, what a week. Welcome to Net That Haul for game week 27, another double game week. But it's all a bit anticlimactic, really, isn't it, after game week 26? Or is it? Maybe not. It might be that you're just pleased to see the back of it. But as always, I've got two guests. One who has just this second arrived on the stream. Actually, we thought we were going to be short of one today, but he's here anyway. So we've got Gabe, and we've also got Shom this week. How are you doing, boys?
Doing well. I just about managed to be on time, so apologies about that. Just got a call beforehand, but I'm here now.
we were saying, oh, bloody hell, it's like trying to herd cats trying to get people onto this show. Last week, poor Hibbo forgot to undo his webcam. It was still, the little slider stuck across, so it was dark.
Oh, this is great. This is great.
I shouldn't have said that, really, should I? But no, it's all right. He doesn't mind. I'm sure he'll take it out a bit later on anyway. How's things going? All right?
It was a sport. Yeah.
Things are well. Good morning to everybody. Good morning to the world. It's been like you said, what a week. On so many levels. But yeah, happy to be here. Game week 27. Bogum boy in the house. Good to see you, Shom. But hey, just every time. It's not late, so good. Well done, boy. You're here.
Right. Thank you. Just about in time.
Just, yeah, like a few players as well, I think, this week. So let's dive into it. So, right, we're going to start with the usual thing. So what we'll do is we'll run through the teams. And so the first person on the list this week it's me again. I'm on a bit of a run. After my complete disasters in a week or two, for the last few weeks, I've started to turn it round on the back of a wild card. So I played a bench boost, and I expected it to go wrong, and it didn't, thankfully. I actually scored more on my bench boost than I've been keeping on my bench in previous weeks, which is good. 32 points on the bench. So very nice, happy days. But look at this, and I think this is something we're going to generally see in all our teams today. 2 goals. 2 goals out of my entire side. Just 2 and 1 assist. Yeah. Wow. The bench boost, Areola and Tosin. Fulham. Who would have thought Fulham? Well, actually, everybody would have thought Fulham, because quite frankly, a clean sheet against Crystal Palace is more certain than death and taxes, in my opinion. It just is. It was so obvious it was going to happen. And they never looked like scoring either. I watched the first half and then switched it off because it was so bad. Luca Dean, 2 clean sheets. Coin flip over Pereira and Dean, I went the right way. Could have gone the other. I think Maddison maybe swung me. I was just thinking, could that Maddison issue swing me away from Leicester? It's probably a good call. Irritatingly, I missed out on a monthly mini league because of Tosin's own goal, of all things, which was a bit irritating. But I think other people got clobbered because it was an own goal. Because I haven't seen the game, but I think other people may have lost some points with Son. 12 seconds to go. 1 return from 7 forwards. Oh my God. Barnes, Bruno, Salah, all on the block. Leeds hold till 31, then goodbye. That's me done. Okay, right. Who's next? Oh, Shom.
That's me? Okay.
Over to you.
Okay.
2 minutes.
My time starts now.
Yes.
Okay. First of all, again, a bench boost for me. And it's not as good a bench boost as yours, Mariner, but it's reasonable, right? I've got the full slate of Fulham. Areola got me points. Anguissa got me exactly the 4 points that I expected from him. And Josh Maja, who I thought would be my surprise pick, which will get me some points, got nothing, but still it's 4 points, right? Watkins is somebody I got in, and he got me an assist. And the only other attacking point that I got was from a central defender, which is John Stones with a goal, right? So 101 points overall, but not really, how should I put it? It's a reasonable 101 when you consider that I have got one goal and one assist, right? Fernandez, captaincy flop. I think so many people had Captain Fernandez and they got 3+3, just as I did. And Harvey Barnes, right?
Harvey Barnes. Ashley Barnes. It could have been, may as well have been Ashley Barnes.
It may pretty well have been Ashley Barnes. At least he would have not gotten injured. But anyway, poor guy got injured, out for the season almost. And so 1 point. And I took a -8, which I hadn't taken for the last 4 seasons. And it's a -8. It's kind of a calculated -8, which kind of worked out because I had gotten Barnes, Areola, Watkins, and Maja. Altogether, that gets me 8 + 7, 15, 14, 20 points. And so -8. So that's -8 plus -1, -9. So that's a +11. So that's a positive for me. And 101 with really, for all practical purposes, bad game week. I'll take it. So, yeah, well, I'll live for another day. And, well, the season starts now. I'm inside the first 500, if that's a compliment. But there we are. Done.
Fantastic. I mean, look, and you've managed to break the ton with 3 Liverpool players stinking up your team as well.
Oh, my God. We cannot do this. You know what?
I mean,
that will be.
I mean, look. There's patience and there's patience, right?
No, exactly. This is tipping over to the other side. This is just being like refusing to move, just being lazy and just being like dogmatic. One cannot do it. As in Alexander-Arnold and Robertson had got me literally nothing. It's like 70 points and 80 points, 150 points. That's what 7.5 million player is supposed to get. Well, there we are. Yeah. See, you know what? I have a thought process there. People who are dogmatic one way or the other, people who make drastic, aggressive moves, have been doing poorly. People like me who just do not make these moves at all, just sit back, have also been doing poorly. People who play the moderate game have been doing well.
It's funny that because I've gone from being quite cautious to a lot more aggressive. And I struggled when I went cautious, and now I've gone a bit more aggressive. I've turned it round again. It's odd. We'll come back to these strategies because there's some interesting things to discuss, I think, going forwards as well.
Sure.
Gabe, over to you, mate. You didn't bench boost, did you?
Did not bench boost. I bench boosted in game week 19. So I've been kind of slowly shedding the money on the bench. 86 -4. Honestly, this game week is one that I wasn't planning any chips. I knew a lot of people would be planning a chip. So similarly to some previous game weeks, like in game week 18, where I didn't free hit or anything, it was a blank game week. And my goal this week was a gray arrow, and I achieved that. I think I got a 2K red arrow, which is basically gray. So I'm happy with it. It was a lame game week. Trolls popping up left and right.
We'll have a few of those in a minute. I've got a list this long.
I know you do. So it's hard to go over my team for game week 26 and not just start ranting on the trolls. So I'm going to try to contain myself and be patient here. I mean, the main thing is the Bruno captain fail. It just makes doesn't make much sense, to be perfectly honest. For me, he was the standout captain. It was obvious. I saw a lot of people kind of lamenting the Kane captaincy, and the Kane thing was kind of flipped around, right? We expected he got a return against Burnley, a team that was supposed to sit deep, and then he didn't get a return maybe when he should have in that second game, the tougher one against Fulham. So I feel like the Kane thing was weird. The Bruno thing was weird. Barnes went down. Calvert-Lewin is now playing in midfield. So things really got moved around in this game week. And honestly, I feel I'm at ease because of the gray arrow. I feel a little bit fortunate, and I'm ready because I kind of think I'm set up well for the next few game weeks.
I've just realised I cut the bottom of your team off the screen when I was dropping this in. I actually made a note that you had a bench which was rivaling one of my recent benches.
Well, Rudiger, the double,
or 18 points.
18 points
on the bench.
Yeah, and Forster started, Rudiger with the clean sheets, and I got 18 points on my bench boost in game week 19. So. Same thing, nothing lost.
I'll tell you what, people would have killed for Forster in their bench boost side. They would have absolutely killed for it. And there's a few people been moaning a lot about that benching, I have to say. Okay, let's move on.
Regarding that, it was something that we've been kind of wondering that could happen soon. McCarthy had not been in good form. I brought Forster in on my wild card precisely because I could have a 4.0 playing goalkeeper. I don't know what there is. I guess what I'm saying is I don't think there's much to moan about because it was kind of the cards were there. You could kind of see it happening. So
yeah, it was an odd one, wasn't it? It was an odd one. Anyway, I mean, as I say, I had him in a few of my wildcard drafts, then took him out. So, okay, let's try and crack on. So what we're going to do now is we're going to have a look at the notable performances. So, yeah, Richarlison's got his tongue out at me. Thank you very much. He trolled me again, didn't he? Even though I nearly brought him in and I didn't. And
look at you readily admitting that now. You're like...
Yeah, I nearly brought him in, and it would have been for Bamford, and look what that would have done to my bench. Wow. All right. Anyway, let's keep this going. So for XG, who topped it? Kane, 1.52 in 2 games. Jesus, 1.46, and Richarlison, third in 1.42. XA, Son, 2.23. Watkins, 1.42. And Matt Loughton, 1.33. We'll come on to him in a minute. Big chances, Richarlison 3, Vidra 3, Jesus 3, and Kane 3. And shots in the box, Richarlison 6, 2 on target. Vidra 5, 3 on target. Jesus 5, 3 on target. And notably bad performances. I'm going to come straight to Gabe. And I am going to ask you a question, Gabe. Are Burnley trying to be Barca? Over to you. You've gone quiet. You've muted yourself.
You're on mute.
So the family's waking up and they're like, there's like all this commotion and stuff. So I muted for a second. Sorry.
So I'll ask the question again.
Are your computer
Burnley trying to become Barca?
Are Burnley trying to become Barca? I mean, the notion is so ridiculous. It's but
that Gabe's computer shut down. The notion is so ridiculous that Gabe's computer went on mute.
I mean, seriously, like what are Burnley doing, right? They're facing a counterattack team in Spurs that can't create if you sit deep, and Burnley is a deep block team in their DNA, and Burnley comes out and they say, you know what, we're down a man in midfield. We're playing 2 against a 3 in center midfield. Let's just get those 2 to push forward, run all the way up. You know what? Why don't we send Loughton and the defenders and then the wingers forward too, and we'll just leave our back line by themselves against Bale, Son, Kane, Lucas, and I'm sure it'll all be okay, right?
A bit. Do you mean a bit like this?
I mean exactly like that. We're FPL managers, right? And we're trying to like look for patterns, right? We've been watching this game our entire lives since before we could walk. We're sitting in front of TVs watching our heroes on the screen, right? And we develop these ideas and these basic concepts of football, and then comes a friggin' manager like Dyche and throws it all out the window and throws like logic in the trash and sets his team up to press against a counterattack team when your team is a deep block team. Like we can't work like this, man. We can't be like productive and FPL managers when we have real life managers that are as asinine as Sean Dyche. So when things like that happen, you just have to basically not get mad at yourself, get mad at the manager, and then rant on him on a YouTube show. I think that works much better than feeling bad about ourselves.
Well, and then, of course, once they realised it didn't work against Spurs, well, I mean, he did it again.
Let's do it again against Leicester.
You know what? That's exactly what I'm thinking of. I hope they do it again against my team, right? That's pretty much where I am.
Well, we're come on to that. We're actually there is an opportunity to bring this up.
Sean, you're getting some love here in the chat for that shirt, by the way. Nima's saying love the Arsenal shirt there in the chat.
Of course.
Playing to the crowd.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, Burnley, above 1 in XG. What the hell is going on? Vidra, crazy. I mean, I know it's like shoot on side, right? But
this is going to work, not in Burnley's favor, because they're going to look at the XG and they're like, oh, look, we're actually getting high XG. If we keep doing this, we're going to score. It's like, actually, you have high XG because, sure, you're throwing numbers forward, but none of those numbers really have any shooting ability. So those shots are actually, if you look at, so there's a new stat that I've been looking up. It's post-shot XG, and I'm going to write about it in the next matchups article. Post-shot XG is what the XG of the shot is after the shot's been taken. XG is a pre-shot model, so it says how likely the ball is to go in before the shot is taken. When I look at Burnley's post-shot XG, I bet it's way lower than the 1.41, the pre-shot of just the regular XG. So hopefully, Arsenal will destroy them, and so will every other team. Hopefully.
My theory behind all this, don't you, boys? He needs 6 points to stay in the league. I think he's just going all gung-ho to try and get 2 wins and then go, do you know what? Sod it. Let's go for a pint and a packet of crisps. Because that's what he wants to do. That's all he keeps talking about in the press conference. He's going for a pint and a packet of crisps.
Right.
Oh,
looky-likeys, right? Looky-likeys and all.
Looky-likeys. The bloke's completely, he's off his trolley. Anyway, few of us are, I think, in this. And there we go. Look at this. He's done it again. Look at this bloody hole here.
Oh my God. You know what? I'm losing it right now. This is hilarious.
They're playing with they're playing with basically 2 defenders, which is what Barcelona does. It's just the 2 center backs, and everyone else is gone.
So we've got Charlie Alba or Geordie Loughton. Which one?
And no defensive midfielder. And there we are. It's like me and Tarkovsky against the whole world. So it's crazy.
Exactly.
I have to say it was remarkable. So remarkable. We had to do 4 slides on it, didn't we, Gabe? It was just impossible not to. So anyway, let's keep moving. So we could have actually put Sean Dyche into this section as well, but we didn't. It could only be one man. It had to be Lee Mason. And this is a particular shout out for FPL Sweng, because I think he is spitting fire about this, because I think he owned Dunk. So poor old Sweng there got absolutely stung dreadfully. Dunk described Mason's decision as horrendous. He said that he lost control. He had, quite clearly. What was it? It was a no goal, then a goal, and then a no goal.
So
apparently,
probably
not given because the whistle had gone before the ball had crossed the line the second time.
So I wasn't watching the match. I only saw the highlight. But this is probably the most that I have seen a referee lose control of a match completely.
Yeah.
I think it's becoming a bit common, actually. I have to say, I don't know whether everyone's suffering. I mean, we're all suffering with COVID, just completely being fed up with COVID, right? Maybe they're just fed up as well. Because let's be honest, referees' jobs isn't easy. Nobody can say it is. It's a thankless task, right? Mm-hmm. It really is. But I noticed he's got a muscle injury, which means he was removed from the Sheffield United Liverpool fixture, apparently, by all accounts. Right. And that was according to The Athletic. And my notes here say maybe it's a bollock injury because he dropped a big one.
Well done.
Ta-da!
Nice.
Yes.
Right. Well, I do have something to say about this. First of all, like I was livid when it happened because I had convinced so both my kids bench boosted and one of them brought in Dunk. I'm like, you have money for Dunk. He could score. He's got great fixtures. Their defense is looking better. So I was livid at first, and then I had time to relax a little bit, and I kind of feel bad for the guy because I do feel like he, when you just kind of like things unravel and you have no control and so I felt like it was one of those things. So there's been a lot of talk about like the rules regarding this. And I know James on Planet FPL was talking about it, but there's a little bit of a misunderstanding that I find in the rules. So people aren't sure kind of what happened, or I guess what people are saying is you shouldn't take the advantage away from the attacking team, right?
That's
from the
right.
team. But the thing is, and that's true, but what we don't know is, did Brighton ask for space for the wall? If you ask for space for the yardage for the wall, then the ref says, wait for the whistle. Now, we don't know if Brighton asked for that space. If they didn't ask for that space and Lee Mason did not say wait for the whistle, then they have a right to shoot. But if Lee Mason is even if he didn't say wait for the whistle, and if he's allowing them to set up the wall, he should have said wait for the whistle. And that's what I think he forgot, that piece. He should have said wait for the whistle, we're setting up the wall, and he didn't say that. So when Dunk shot, he panicked and he blew the whistle.
Here's some of the love for Lee Mason on the chat as well. Duncan Sanchez, part of my bench boost. Mason scoundrel.
I have a theory on this, though. I have a brief theory on this. It's that in cricket, cricket is another game I follow quite a bit. So in cricket, when technology came in a major way in the late 1990s, you know what? Hey, stop laughing at me.
No, you can't.
You know what happened?
You're going to bring cricket up today. I knew it.
Well, Rishabh played well. I don't mind.
Yeah, sure. Carry on.
So this is what happens for a little period, right? Late 90s, early 2000s, when technology came in a big way in cricket. For a little while, it seemed that literally every umpire, the equivalent of a referee in cricket, is making a mistake or two literally every match, or they are refusing to take help of the third umpires and things like that. I think that is the case over here. I think in a little bit of time, referees will get used to technology coming in, and they'll make more sensible decisions and know when to and when not to.
I mean, mate, when you look back, we're not going to talk about cricket, but I mean, look, I can think of some terrible cricket decisions which have been going on with.
Oh, even now, yeah.
Anyway, let's change the subject. Grand Slam of Shame. I struggled this week. I had to look very, very hard, but I did find a couple. The Grand Slam of Shame, Shom, for you, just to let you know, is at 0.00 xg and 0.00 xa for a midfielder or a forward who is meant to get xg or xa. Let's be honest. Adam Lallana, 0. Eze, second week on the trot. Consistent, if nothing else. Well, let's face it, he plays for Palace. I think the whole team got 0.
Okay, fair enough.
And Lundstrom, again, Lord Lundstrom is now no longer Lord Lundstrom, although we don't expect him to get any returns this year, do we? But now we have the next section, and this is special. We had a special correspondent came to me on Twitter, and we actually had a little bit of an interesting chat about Troll of the Week this week. And there was a mention that there might be a troll at the highest level within FPL. So I thought we'd explore this, but I said, I haven't got time to do it. So I got Thavindra Raj. I think he's on. He is. He's on. I've just put him on the screen. Hi, mate. Thank you very much for doing this. And he was caught ranting on Twitter by me about 2 days ago about the scout picks, not fantasy, not scout as in scout the subscription service, but the actual official scout picks, which go up by official FPL, right? So anyway, so they put 14 together for this double game week. 14 picks they've suggested, and out of that, there was 10 matches available. I think 10 matches available for defenders or goalkeepers, 3 clean sheets, 30%. They got 0 returns out of 7 matches in midfield, and they got 1 return in 8 out of attack, right? So they had 14 picks, 25 games, 65 points, 2.6 points per player. It makes you all warm inside. It really does. I think that is, I mean, personally, look, we all put our necks on the block to make choices, and the stats which they put up are true. But what the heck? It just shows how sometimes things can go completely wrong. And I think this is a great week. Look at these. Sanchez. What did we say about Brighton game before? Brilliant. Potentially really, really unlucky. Target, Tierney, Cancelo, Anderson, Lookman, Rafinha. The list goes on. Harvey Barnes. I picked him as my differential captain. He didn't. Obviously, what happened? What to do, eh? Well, notable other shouts. Lee Mason came up a few times. Leeds, brackets, with love from bench boosters by Simeon. Hassan Huddle for benching McCarthy, Nihal. The bench boost chip has also been given a nomination for the Troll of the Week, described as being a lady part by our friend Bungle from Tokyo. That's all I'm saying.
Okay.
Yes, there were plenty. Oh, and the cat as well, because he also trolled the community by picking Bruno. Right. Okay. We'll keep going because we're not stuck for time, but we've got quite a lot to get through. I wanted to quickly look at the fixture difficulties again. And as always, what we do is we just go through the last 4 game weeks. And obviously you can see the colours, green good, red bad. First of all, for attack, let's face it, Manchester City are just pretty much the only one now who look like they're just across the board with respect to doing very, very well. Man City top for XG per 90 minutes in the last 4 game weeks, 2.13. Brighton, 1.79. Brighton have had 62 shots in the last 6 games and scored twice. That's 62 shots in the box in the last 6 games and have scored twice.
None of those clowns can score.
That shows where your statistics can go wrong, doesn't it, guys? That's why you need to have Lens here doing his eye test rather than Nick and Brian are the best thing since sliced bread going forwards, which clearly they're not. Leeds, 1.76. Chelsea, now 1.72 going up. West Ham also, interestingly, maybe interesting for the blank game week, 1.5. Bad. Palace, 0.43 XG. Wolves, 0.97. West Brom, 1. Shots in the box, Brighton, 12.5 shots a match. Again, topping it. Crazy.
Mariner, I have a question for you here regarding the attack FDR here.
Yeah.
So Chelsea, to me, when I watch Chelsea, I think they have a similar problem to Brighton. It seems like they are creating some chances, but those chances that they create don't end up being very threatening. But I see there's quite a bit of green, right, for Chelsea. So is that what's up with the green for Chelsea, since they haven't really scored much recently? Is it just kind of the stats that are being propped up without scoring?
Yeah, it must be, but I think they are turning a corner. I said I've got Operation Mount Rudiger on the go. I said it on Twitter this morning. They're but 2 players I am definitely looking at bringing into my team in the not too distant future. I think Mount looks the best option for going forwards, given his price, and I think Rudiger is a virtual no-brainer at the moment with respect to them. And quite frankly, why didn't we bring him into our teams for the double game week? We should have had more confidence in their defense, like Gabe, although you benched him. But
yeah. I did bench Rudiger, but I think he's perhaps the best value defender in the game at the moment.
I think so as well.
And I thought that on the wild card. It's like I
completely agree with you. I completely agree with you.
Also, I see a little bit of a pattern in Chelsea's performance right now to what City had just around the turn of the year, right? City's defense was really good. The defense had totally solidified, and they were not scoring many goals. So they were winning matches 1-0, 2-0, etc. And then at some point of time, and they have really good attacking players, right? Just like City, they clicked at some point. And I think personally that that's pretty much what will happen with Chelsea. They are pretty much the second best team in the league in terms of sheer player ability. They are pretty much the second best team in the league. Yeah. I believe that at some point of time that flip will occur, and we saw that in this match as well. As in, our friend Timo was not playing badly at all. It's just that they had one unfortunate thing, and that could have just opened the floodgate.
He got through. The only thing I saw is it was blast one into the top of the cop.
Then he got offside. He got offside because of his,
he also had that touch right to the goalkeeper's hands. That I missed that one. Here's Timo Werner. You have to watch like the good and the bad, right? The bad.
You see, I'm half asleep. You know what it's like watching football at 5 o'clock in the morning, Gabe. It's not easy. Let me get rid of these stats because we need to get onto the main stuff. So I said Brighton were really good for shots in the box. Man City and Leeds as well. Bad end, Palace 4.4 shots per match in the box on average. Everton 4.5. West Brom 4.8. Newcastle 6 worse, 6.25. Again, this is all pointing me into looking at defence. And I'm starting to pick Brighton out now as a real option for defence. They look excellent at the moment for me. They've got, and I'll come on to the run of fixtures they've got in a minute or two. But look how green Brighton are now.
Yeah. Again, one thing to notice here is, and we noticed it last week, and it kind of came to fruition in the double game week, is the FDR for defense is greener than for attack. We mentioned this last week, and we saw in the double game week there weren't that many goals. The hauls were mostly in defense from clean sheets. So hats off to the FDR here for kind of predicting this trend moving to defense.
He's done it for 29 as well. By the way, we'll come on to that in a second.
Well, exactly, we'll come on to that, and when we talk about our plans for next week, I'm already making moves to match the FDR. The FDR is shining a path for us.
It is, I think you're right. I tend to agree with you.
Yeah, I have a question for the two of you. You understand this fixture difficulty rating better than anybody else. Here is a question that I have for you. Assume that except for what I'm seeing here is that largely except for City, the other teams do not have a great fixture difficulty FDR attack, right? The others are all considerably worse.
Yeah.
But in terms of defense, it isn't so much so, right? So should we consider moving out from 2 City defenders to 1 and moving to Gundogan and KDB?
Good question. I love that. That's a great question.
It is a very good question. I mean, look, for me,
for the matter. Yeah.
My perspective of this is it's going to come down to how much do you want to spend on a player who might be benched. I have looked at KDB, and I would love to bring him in, but I would obviously have to get rid of a very expensive asset to do that. And I have other fires to put out. But I have to say, how long can I continue to just laugh off a City defensive benching, which I have been doing now for about the last 3 or 4 weeks? It is a bit of an issue. And I think I'm sometimes a little bit jealous of people who are only holding 2 City assets at this moment, because you've got the opportunity to go one way or the other. Whereas me, I've got to make a double move now to go whatever, if I want to swing it round, I've got to realign my team somewhat. So it's an interesting question, Shom. But my gut feeling at the moment is that, and I mean, I can come on to this actually, if we look at the next one without going through the stats.
Can I say something about what Shom's question there? Because I think it's a really interesting question. But the other thing to consider is that a clean sheet is spread amongst all defenders.
True.
Whereas attacking a goal is just for a single player, and sometimes it's hard to tell which one's going to get it. So I think it's safer to stay in the defense because it is still green. But you're right. If you have more options, can you shift? And I think that's something to maybe keep in mind if there's one player that really starts scoring more than the rest. Then that shift from the defense to attack is definitely on. But we need like a talisman. We need like maybe Aguero to come in and just start banging them, right? But that's a good question.
And I think, look, like I said, I think the jury's out a little bit on Gundogan even now to a certain extent. We'll have to see what happens going forwards. I mean, we're all trying to predict what's going on with the rotation for this week. We'll come on to that later on. I mean, crikey, we rogues now got a blooming great spreadsheet running on Twitter about the predictions for City. This is how complicated it gets these days. So yeah, pretty complicated stuff. Certainly a conundrum, which Gabe is going to cover later on as well. And there's some questions starting to come in as well about City, one of which is about Mahrez, and I think, Gabe, you're covering him later as well.
Yeah.
Okay, so just looking fixture difficulty 27 to 30, I want to give you a few just things that I've spotted which might help us plan for 29, for 29 particularly, because next week, Gabe, you're looking at defence, is that correct? And the week after, you'll be looking at the midfield and attack. So look, this is what I'm going to say to you now, and shout out if you see anything you think's interesting. Arsenal against Burnley, the matchup doesn't look good, but if Burnley carry on like they did, this fixture goes green.
Yeah.
Straight up. And Orba is back. And bear in mind, these worked for the last 6 fixtures, and Orba was out, wasn't he? He was dashed off somewhere, didn't he? For a couple of weeks. So that's Arsenal. Villa, defence over attack until Grealish is back. I'm a poet and I didn't know it. Grealish, look at Villa's attacking form. That means their recent form with respect to the matchups is worse than their season form. And that tells me that they're missing Grealish. Yeah. Brighton have a wall of green in defence, justifiably. And attacking-wise, 2, but probably not justifiably. But will they start scoring soon? I personally will not bank on Morpie anytime soon. Fulham's defensive form is so much better than earlier in the season, and I think we've seen that now firsthand. I think we're seeing that firsthand. I think Tosin, who I brought in, who got me a clean sheet and then managed to score an own goal, since he came in from City, didn't he? In the window. I think really tightened them up. So I think that actually makes Leeds' game in 29 not great. That's not a great matchup, look. Leeds against Fulham.
Certainly not a Bamford captain game.
So there we go. So all of a sudden we're thinking of lumping on Leeds, and this is saying maybe not. Maybe not. Obviously, we've still got to see what happens in the next few weeks. Fulham, I think they can make it really difficult, but Leeds do have an extremely good fixture in 30 against Sheffield United. So I think we do need probably 2, I would say, just to get us through that anyway. Newcastle, stay away. That's that. And Spurs, defensively, the matchups look excellent. The issue is who? I wish I knew, because if I knew, I would probably bring one in this week.
I think the only sure shot Spurs defender that you have is the goalkeeper. Everybody else is getting rotated all the time.
Probably right.
And he's way too expensive.
Yeah, probably right, actually. Probably right. I mean, we thought of Reguilon, didn't we? But I don't know. It's not straightforward. So, okay. So that's that. Any comments on that, boys, before I whiz on?
No,
this is good.
Okay, cool. So that gives us some place points to be able to cover for the. And what I'll probably do is just put this up again next week and just see how it morphs going forwards. So we'll quickly look at Soucek Watch, and we're really struggling with this. We haven't had a return on this for some time. I went for Slabhead, fail. Ibo went for Slabhead, fail. And Gabe, you went for Cavani, fail.
Fail.
Fail. So, of interest this week, Brighton against a possibly weakened Leicester defence. I've got down on my little list here. Is this a dunk week? I've been saying it now for a few weeks, but is that an option? It's not brilliant, but it's interesting. Chelsea against Everton, Spurs against Palace. There we go, and Leeds against West Ham. So Leeds against West Ham is huge. Now, I don't know why that's so big. I did look and I did check it, and West Ham have conceded tons of headers just recently, and Leeds are actually creating. Cooper misses most of them, doesn't he?
That's true.
But yeah, my prediction, boys, it's really boring. It's Lord Harold of Kane this week. I think Harry Kane header. He hasn't had a header for a while, so I'm going to go with that.
That's a solid shout. Safe.
That's a safe and good shout. Yeah.
Right.
That's a Shom type. That's a Shom type shout, right?
So come on, Shom, who is your shout? And it cannot be Kane.
I was thinking of a Chelsea defender, but I'm not very sure who it would be. Everton is not very good at, as in when Mina is not playing, especially. They're not very good at defensive.
Doesn't have to be a defender.
None of the forwards are really tall, right? So I'd assume that.
Fair enough. Either that or we don't know who's playing or they're injured. One or the other.
Yeah.
You know what? I'd consider your boy Rudiger.
Okay. Rudiger. Yeah. Right. I'll write that down. That's in the list for next week.
That would be a big punch, right? Yeah. Let's go for it.
Gabe?
I'm going for Mr. Potato Salad himself.
Oh, God, yeah, of course. Against Leeds.
Leeds have been better recently in terms of headers, but I can't pass up this opportunity to go for the namesake.
I think that's fair enough, but the metric doesn't support it.
The metric doesn't support it, but here's one thing regarding the metric, and I think the metric for headed chances has been less predictable or recently because there has been less attack. So when you have more attacks, you have more opportunities for headers, you have more crosses, more corners, and all that. But since the attack in the league is diminished overall, then the headers are diminished, and the headers are such a kind of situational thing that they're hard to predict anyway. So when there's less attack, they're even more difficult to predict. So I'm going against the metric and in favor of the name of the segment. I'm watching Soucek.
Soucek against Leeds is good, yeah.
We can't complain about it again. We've got to let it run, haven't we? We've got to say it's Mr. Potato Salad. So that's my section. So now over to yours, Gabe. So right. Who is the Little Prince?
Oh, the Little Prince. Easy for me this week. One of the easiest weeks of all weeks. And that's Bukayo Saka, for sure. And yeah, queue up all the Arsenal fans in the chat. They're all like screaming right now. And here's the main thing about Bukayo Saka, even before I get to kind of the heat maps, is the reason why he was so easy for me to choose this week is because I want to troll Sean Dyche so bad. That's really the main motivation. If Saka scores a hat trick, I'm just going to be happy that he killed Dyche, and that's it. But he also, there's a lot to be said for his positioning. We're looking here at his heat maps kind of throughout the season. The first one is game weeks 1 through 14, where Arsenal were discovering their defensive solidity and trying to find out what their identity was going forward. They didn't have that yet. Like Sean mentioned, might be the case for who? Oh no, that Sean mentioned might be similar to what City went through, right?
City,
which I find a really interesting comparison. Then he went from the left, he got switched to the right. And this is when Arsenal started finding themselves, right? When you have Saka on the right, Tierney was getting involved as well around this time, around game week 15 or so. Smith Rowe occupied that center area of the field. And then Arsenal found themselves and they started to attack. It all started with Saka's move from left to the right.
Exactly.
Now, recently, in the last 4 game weeks, look at the heat map. He's going back to the left.
Mm-hmm.
So Saka is having more of a free role in the team, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes he'll be on the left. More often than not, he will be on the right. But that free role, I think there will be interplay between Saka and whoever plays the number 10, be it Smith Rowe or Martin or Odegaard. Both of them, either one of them would do a fine job there. So Saka's new role and like kind of just being more free and being able to roam from flank to flank, I think is going to. And look, he's right in those pockets where the 2 Burnley defenders are running away.
Are not. Yes. Well, they're not. Exactly.
Yeah.
That's what I like about it.
Yeah.
I think it's a great shout. I really think this is a great shout. And I actually, I am. Grealish is not fit, right? He's still not. There's commented today he's not ready. So I've got a little Harvey Barnes slot I need to fill. Yeah. Now, is Saka my man? It's possible. I've still got to make my mind up.
I'm in the same kind of dilemma. But it would be a -8, and I'm not sure if that kind of hit. And my team is fine, but I would love to bring him in. But he's the player I'm most excited to bring in. It's probably going to be game week 30, past 29, or maybe 429 for 29.
Yeah. Like I have a little bit of secondhand theory that I picked up from Gunnerblog and Gunnerblog or Arseblog, one of the two. It's that what's happened is that Arsenal were suffering for a very long time in the season because they didn't have an elite ball carrier, right? So from midfield, somebody would have to take the ball up, right? So they didn't have that. And Odegaard actually does provide them that. He's very good at picking up the ball and taking it forward, making those small passes and moving it forward. Now what's happened is that Smith Rowe, nonetheless, will have to play because he's really good. So they cannot play at the same position, more or less, right? So Smith Rowe has moved to the right, okay? And because Smith Rowe isn't really an option on the left, Smith Rowe has moved to the right, and Saka can pretty much play everywhere. So that's why that triumvirate has happened. And that has totally liberated Auba. You see, because there isn't any ball carrying responsibility. He can stand there, wait on the shoulder of the defender and go run and do kind of Auba things. So interesting times.
Yeah, well, as I say, I think the other thing is that what we've got to remember, and this is another thing when we talk about game week 29 next week, is we need to be finding players who aren't necessarily playing against each other. Because we're going to net off, a lot of our points are going to net off in 29 unless we're careful. If we just go with the Joneses, all Villa, all Spurs, we're going to be taking points off we're going to be taking points off ourselves. So we do need to have some little gems sat there, little princes sat there, right? Like probably somebody like Bukayo Saka or I don't know, Lingard or someone like that. I think there is room for that type of player in that game week. Okay, so that's that bit. We're going to come on to your next bit, Gabe, in the captaincy. But we're going to start going through the captaincy thing now. So first of all, what we have to do is we have to check how we did last week, which wasn't very well. I think it's the first time we've had more red than we've had green on this since we started doing the pod.
Huh.
I think it's since we started doing it, I think we've either been equal or in positive territory, but we're not. And in fact, the only people who got it right was the community and me. Sorry, Gabe.
I wouldn't characterize it as got it right.
No, it's Sean Dyche got it wrong. Right, okay.
Sean Dyche got it wrong. That's what I would say.
Keep this narrative going, mate. We'll keep it going right the way through the show.
At least for one more game week, huh?
Yeah,
at least for one more game.
And of course, what Bruno Fernandes trolled the metric. How on earth can Bruno Fernandes blank in 2 games? The metric, of course, the metric went with him. And look back, the last time the metric blanked, it was Bruno as well. And the time before that, Salah twice. I mean, the metric, it's sick as a dog, the metric. It's totally fed up. I can tell you now, it really is. But it's still doing very well. And in fact, I miscalculated.
50% of the metrics blanks have been with Bruno.
Yes.
Wow, that's an observation.
That's a troll relationship right there.
Bastard. He's still doing okay though. 602 points, still averaging nearly 16. Still, in fact, I miscalculated the hit rate. It's actually even higher. It's 77%. I'm just starting to creep back, but I'm not. My scores aren't going up. I'm returning, but my captain returns are just a bit boring. I've not had a haul since, I've not had a double figures since game week 17.
Attacking returns have been dull though as well.
Yeah, they have, haven't they?
You have to captain defenders now. Defenders now.
Exactly, captain defenders.
I know, absolutely. So, okay, let's have a look at the next slide. So we're going to talk about the captaincy poll and the Catpick and things like that. Now, we shortlisted a few things. Unfortunately, I didn't manage to drop these slides in, but what we did decide was that Diaz was the best option with respect to the City defenders from the point of view of the community for the captaincy this week. And Kane was the best option with respect to single game weekers. So what I did is I thought we'll have a single game weeker in there. We'll also have a City defender, and then we'll go with the two big boys, supposedly, in that KDB and Gundogan, because they actually topped the City attackers poll. Obviously, City are the only team with a double game week, and Southampton, but of course we're going to discount Southampton because they're not very good. So Gundogan topped the poll. I wasn't sure whether it might be a bit closer. I think the rotation for me is a real worry this week. Thankfully, Gundogan was benched for most of the game midweek, so hopefully he'll be okay. But yeah, Gundogan, then Kane, then KDB, and finally Diaz. But Diaz getting 13%. So I think some people will go down that defensive route this week, I'm quite sure. Mm-hmm. It'll be interesting to see. So anyway, I gave the cat 3 choices, top 3, Gundogan, KDB, and Kane, and he picked This is getting worse, these. At least he's hungry again this week, boys. He's really up.
I hate you.
And do you know what? I picked the other one up to see which one he sniffed at and turned his nose up at. And do you know who it was?
Gundogan.
You're not going to let it was. It was Gundogan who he turned his nose up at. Let's see if that comes to pass later on, eh? If not, we'll just troll him again. God, what a nightmare. Right. Let's keep going. So we're now going to come on to the captaincy metric, and I know this is something that it's got quite a big following now, and people tend to sometimes just come in and just watch this particular section. So I think it's quite good that we're spending a bit more time on it now. And of course, we've got the City players, and it's very unsurprising that they top the lot. Mm-hmm. And quite frankly, I could put more players on there, and they would be at the top as well. It doesn't really. Cancelo is exactly the same score as Diaz. So just change the name, basically. Same number. Very slightly different, but just same number. So you've got Gundogan sat there, and it's the whole side of things which is giving Gundogan that edge. Fixture difficulty slightly better for attack than defence for City as well. Slightly better.
Because of Man United, yeah, okay.
Because it's Man United. But what we've done this week is we've only given City a 1.33 uptick on their numbers because again, Gabe and I discussed this, we couldn't decide. We were going to say, do we put Gundogan at 1.5 and somebody else at 1.3 and someone at 1 and, because they played. And we thought, you know what? No. We're going to leave it to the audience to make their own mind up about the rotation. What we're going to do is these are the numbers. You pick that because we can't. We haven't got a bloody clue. I was asked for a captaincy pick for FF Titans, and I gave them one line. And it said, head says Gundogan. Metrics says Gundogan. I'm off to find a big sofa to hide behind.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
I can't work out Pep. I can't. So, look, that's where we are. Best of the rest, Salah, Mane, Antonio. Okay? But no one really tearing trees up. And look how far down Spurs are. They are miles off. They're still nowhere near. And that fixture is not great. That matchup is not great against Palace. You think it is, but it's not. Now, of course, will Roy Hodgson do a Sean Dyche? I very much doubt it.
And you know what Roy Hodgson has done in the last 3 or 4 game weeks is that they have kind of gone back to pattern, right? They used to be, kind of trying to build an attack, get more out of Eze and things like that. They have pretty much gone back to route 1, which is pretty much, being as defensive as they pretty much could. And, 2 banks of 4 and, the standard, pass the ball to Zaha and then let's see what happens. If that happens, it'll be tricky.
And
we'll see.
The result of that is you mentioned with Eze with his 0.0 XG and 0.0 XA. That's the result of what Sean is talking about.
Again,
right?
But of course, the missing Zaha, which is a big blow for them. Let's face it.
Yeah,
very good. If he doesn't play against Spurs, like I say, if you find a Spurs defender who starts, you're in the money. I'm convinced. So that's where we are. So Gabe, over to you, because we have a bit of a Man City conundrum really in this captaincy pick. And what we're going to do first of all is we're going to use at XG_mappers XG maps for the 2 games, just to explain the 2 different. We'll just look back slightly at the last 2 games. So first of all, West Ham did a bit of a job on City, didn't they, Gabe?
Well, honestly, I think I'm racking my brain through the to go over all the games of this season, and I think West Ham's performance against City may have been the best performance by a non-traditional top 4 side all season. Watching that game, I was actually more excited when West Ham would have the ball. I thought they moved the ball really, really well with speed through the midfield, and it shows. Look at the XG of those shots at the opportunities they have right in the middle by the penalty spot and at the top of the 6 there. First of all, this is these XG maps. Who's the creator of this?
XG_mapper.
XG_mapper. So this is someone we've met recently on Twitter, and this is some really interesting work that they're doing here with these maps. You can see kind of where KDB was playing, the small triangle in the red box there, versus where what's his name, Mahrez, where Mahrez is playing. So look at Mahrez coming in almost from the right side, coming central, and then KDB is kind of just fading away to the space that Mahrez is creating. That interplay is going to be really interesting, specifically coming off of the right side of the box there in the next match. I think we're gonna see some potential interplay there.
And that's the Wolves game, and obviously a lot of these chances happened at the end.
Right.
But again, you can see Mahrez in purple again. Look, central.
Yeah. Mahrez getting central and getting opportunities. Now, notice how his triangles there are, certainly bigger than any of Wolves' triangles, but they're not huge. For example, like Sterling's opportunities in and around the 6-yard box, right? So Mahrez he's been cutting on the inside, but his opportunities have not been clear ones. Still, he can. We all remember his goal against Leicester, right? And he can put those away at any moment. Yeah.
I think it's nice to look at these because what I've done, I've tried to put these boxes around them to try and give you an indication of where players actually, have been popping up with their chances. It's quite noticeable. The first thing I spotted was how central Mahrez seemed to be getting. So that's interesting. So I think we're gonna move on to the actual look at the 2 games. So first of all, Manchester United, of course, the derby, 0-0 draw. Anybody?
I don't think so.
No.
I called it last week.
You know what? City's at the top of their form, and Man United is not at its peak. I do not see that happening. Yeah.
I'm jesting with you. I don't think it will. I don't think it'll be a high-scoring game though either. But Gabe, give us this game through the lens.
Yeah. So on the left here we have the two heat maps. This is I did Mariner actually when you and I did our first show together, which was the show of Process. Remember that? And I think we did it under the Expectations banner. And that was game week 12, and I presented kind of my matchups report was all about the derby. So I pulled this heat map from that. It was the 4 game weeks prior to the derby. Manchester, you see on the left, Manchester United chances conceded. They're mostly from their right side, so the Wan-Bissaka side. Aside from that green patch on the left with this couple purple around it, that's in behind Luke Shaw, right? But I've kind of been noticing a difference in them. Shaw has created so many chances over the past 4 or 6 game weeks. Most chances in the league over the past 4. I think he's created 14 chances. And he has how many? I think 13 successful crosses that he's put in. So Shaw is actually playing a lot further up the field. And in the last 4, we see in the heat map on the right, where United have been conceding in the blue box there. And now they're not conceding on the right side, but now they're conceding on their left side. The interesting thing about that is Manchester City has been creating precisely from the top of the box. You see the two kind of blue rectangles, they match up. So that area of the field is the area where Kevin De Bruyne, we saw, sometimes gets involved there when he moves back and forth, right? But that's specifically Cancelo's area and Mahrez's area. We saw Mahrez cutting in on the inside, in and around the top of the box. So I think Mahrez could really create some chances from that top area. But Mahrez's shots have not been very promising. He's taking speculative shots. He's not getting enough penetration to open up any space for himself. So what I actually see happening, what I envision happening in this game is Mahrez kind of creating the chance from there, but the chance actually being shifted over to the other side, the way City does for tap-ins on the opposite side. So I think Mahrez is going to destabilize United's back line a little bit, and then slot it in for players like Sterling and Gundogan on the other side. We see here just kind of comparing Raheem Sterling and Mahrez with the radar graph there from Understat, right? And we see that they're quite similar. They're in the stats, but where they differ is Sterling is much more involved in kind of XG, right? Higher XG per 90. They have a similar shots per 90. There's a higher XG when the buildup goes through Sterling. So Sterling more involved in the XG, and then Mahrez has been more involved in creating. Look at the key passes, for example. 2.25 key passes per 90 is that's a robust number. It's XA 0.3 XA per 90. Really good. So Mahrez he's been used to link play. He's been used to create around the box. And I think they're going to continue to employ that against United in the derby. Sorry. Let me just talk about the heat maps there. First, the XG map. We see the XG map for Mahrez compared to Sterling. So around that top right of the box, like we spoke about, but those dots are quite small. So the chances are not good chances. But Sterling on the other side and in and around the 6, obviously with high XG chances. I think that big green one is probably that header that he scored. Don't see that happening again, but he is in the right spot. And then the Gundogan De Bruyne, I pulled this from last week's matchups, just to show kind of the Gundogan's movement, and as he gets in towards the box. So what I think is United could sit back, play counterattack and pick up if they pick up Sterling. If they pick up De Bruyne with one of their defensive mids, with Fred, or who else would be there? Matic, could be McTominay, right? If they start picking up if they pick up Mahrez, they pick up Sterling, they pick up De Bruyne, then Gundogan's runs from deep could cause a real problem for that back line, because nobody's going to pick those runs up. So I could see actually if Sterling is picked up, Gundogan gets some action. If Gundogan is picked up, then Sterling will get some action.
Hopefully, it'll be Gundogan gets some action.
Hopefully.
We'll come on to our captain picks when we finish this little section. So let's quickly look at the Southampton game. And I think now this is the game that I'm thinking, or shall we say hoping, or perhaps maybe saying a little silent prayer that Gundogan does play.
Yeah, and I really do think Gundogan will play both matches here. But that's just how I read it, and I have no information whatsoever. But what I'm showing here is Southampton, back in January, I wrote about how Southampton concedes so many chances on their right side compared to really very few from their left. But that has changed in the last four game weeks. Despite now the kind of some bigger accounts were catching on to that, but it was a little bit too late because as soon as they started tweeting about that, then actually before they started tweeting about that, Southampton had already been changing. So we look at the last four matches on the right, and they're conceding chances really kind of around by the goalposts, at the end line on either side. Not so much the middle, not only on the right and not only on the left anymore. It's pretty even. Their defense has been more even lately, but those pockets. I mean, so what I said in the matchups article is. It would be really interesting against Southampton if Pep played a left-footed player on the left so they can get around Wan-Bissaka and to that end line. I'm thinking Foden in that position. I don't see Mahrez moving over to the left. And on the right, put Sterling, for example, or even Ferran Torres. Ferran Torres is great at getting around the defender. Sterling is a little more jittery. He could get around, and I mean they can both do it. But either one of those, a right-footed on the right and a left-footed on the left, would allow them to get around the defense and cut those balls. I see at least 2 tap-in goals against Southampton because of what the heat map shows us.
It's like those old Sane Sterling days, huh?
Yes, that's how I see the Southampton game playing. That's a big if Pep puts those types of players. A right footer on the right and a left footer on the left. Otherwise, then it'll be a tricky game, and they'll have to move the ball around more and just create something.
Interesting. Good observations. Fantastic.
Okay. Shom, anything you want to add on the City conundrum? Your perspective?
The only perspective that I have, I was personally thinking of captaining Cancelo, and that is because Cancelo has got his rest, and pretty much the same positions where same movements that Gundogan makes, Cancelo makes as well. Yeah. Now, of course, Gundogan starts from a higher position, right? But apart from that, but then Cancelo gets points for clean sheets. So, and Southampton is not going to score against Man City in all probabilities. So, I was actually thinking very strongly about Cancelo. And the other reason is that I still have my triple captain chip with me. So I was kind of thinking if right now is a good time to maybe use my triple captain, because I wouldn't be getting too many opportunities, and maybe triple captaining one of those two, either Gundogan or Cancelo. I'm kind of, the extreme situation is captaining Cancelo, triple captaining Cancelo. Now that will be pretty crazy, but hey, that will be so crazy that somebody would really say that, hey, who has taken over Shom's body, right? But
I would invasion of the body snatchers.
Like something the FPL exorcist. We need someone to create. We need a new Twitter handle, the FPL exorcist, who's going to take over Shom's body and triple captain. I don't know.
John Stones and Cancelo.
Yeah, John. No. Let's think of someone a little bit further out. Yeah, absolutely.
Lucas Dean.
Taking over your body. I quite like that.
A player from Barcelona, for example.
But Burnley-Salona. That's right. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah. So what is it? Yeah.
Shom, I love the Cancelo captain shout. I think he's a great shout. I think he will do well. Gundogan, I mean, if I had my triple captainship, it would be on Cancelo or Gundogan this week.
I was going to say there's a but there. So the but must be you're going on Gundogan. Is that correct?
So right now I'm on Gundogan, yes, and I probably won't move it. I think it might depend. I might consult our friend Hibbo about effective ownership.
Not a bad idea.
We'll see.
Yeah, you can do that off live. I think you pretty much do that off live FPL anyway. I think
live FPL, yeah,
you probably can anyway. But yeah, and I'm the same at the moment. I'm on Gundogan. It may change. I'm still smarting from that Gundogan blank the other week when I got really annoyed by his blank when it was the one game when he played. I can't remember who they played against, but he played super deep. Who was it anyway? Not to worry. So that's what I'm thinking. I was tempted on Kane until I looked at the matchups, and I think now perhaps it may be that I'm slowly going to be bringing I may well bring an extra Spurs player in. It may well be Son. If that's the case, if I own Son and Kane, I don't think I need to captain one of them. I think I can perhaps go with a City asset and cover them, hopefully, that way. Okay, Captain Differential. Who is it? Antonio.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, third for XG in the last 4 weeks, 0.61 average, 90. Fourth for big chances. Top for expected goals involvement, 53%. You know, there we go. This is looking like to me, and he's playing Leeds, who have improved, to be fair. But despite, and this is a really good stat. This is where I don't often go into my main stat page very often at the moment. I did it a little bit earlier when I did some under and over performing on Twitter for the first time in a while. I thought I'd put a little thread out. But one thing I did check was his percentage of non-penalty XG, and he's had 20% of West Ham's non-penalty XG this season, and he's only played 47% of the time.
Wow.
So he's involved. He's heavily involved, and I think we can see that, and that's why I think he's a good shout.
One of my biggest regrets this season is selling Antonio and bringing in Bamford.
Yeah, well, I mean, look, I've sold him as well. I may well be bringing him back yet. When are we going to find out? Bloody FPL are going to troll us again with this Everton double game week, aren't they? Because I've got Calvert-Lewin now stinking my side out. Now he's moved to the right of that diamond, apparently. Yeah. The old trolls now running down the middle, which is four goals in 4, right? So I'm not sure about Calvert-Lewin again now. I'm a bit worried about him. So Antonio might well take over Calvert-Lewin. Neema's just said 11:01 the announcement for Everton and Villa for tomorrow.
Yeah, nailed that 11:01. Oh, and Nehel volunteered that the game that Gundogan was playing a little further deep was the West Ham game.
Was it?
Yeah. And it makes sense.
I just remember losing it. I remember watching it and losing my mind, actually. Started watching it. I remember it driving me crazy. Any other differential captain shouts, boys, this week? Anyone you want to just throw in the mix?
What do you think, Sean?
No, I have probably done enough damage already with Cancelo, and
okay,
I'll leave it there. Yeah.
Okay. I mean, I would suggest. I think Antonio is by far the best non-double captainer for me because of his XG. I'll go back to Arsenal. I think Aubameyang is a outside shout for a differential captain.
Interesting.
Look, I am almost sure to have Aubameyang in my team for 29 and captain him. Almost sure. So Aubameyang is he's proven, right? He's a proven performer, and I cannot believe that the drop will last forever. And he's already back in form, and I'm expecting big things from him. Last part of the season.
He's one to watch. He's one to watch for me. I'm not going to move early on him because he's trolled me before, so I'm going to wait until we see some. So he did look a little bit better, but again, I think that to be honest, Lacazette still looks quite interesting to me, and he's cheaper as well.
I'm just not sure that Lacazette will. I'm not sure about his starts. I'm not sure how nailed he is. I could see Aubameyang starting at the 9 every once in a while. I don't know what they're going to do with that position.
Yeah. And there is also the situation of Arteta giving preference to the Europa League as well. So, lot many situations there.
I mean, just a general question, guys. Are we starting to get to the stage where we need a little beach brolly on some of our slides for certain teams? I think we're not far away from teams changing their priorities, aren't we?
Mm-hmm.
I think again, I'll steal this because I heard it on a podcast. Might have been from Scout, Fantasy Football Scout. They said sort of like between 10 and about 4 play teams around between 10th and 4th are the sort of teams that would be the sort of thing to look at. It makes sense to me because they've got something to play for, and of course we're going to start seeing some one or two strange results probably turning up at the bottom as well as teams start to try and dig their way out. Maybe too late for some of them, I'm afraid, but no, I can see that, and I'm just wondering, are we starting to see, like I say, teams changing their priorities, more interested in the Europa League because that's their route to Europe rather than the league itself? Because league's virtually gone now, hasn't it, for everybody? I think, yeah. I can't see anybody catching Man City now.
No. League's done. No one's going to catch City, and Sheffield United's not going to catch anyone.
No, well, no, they weren't going to catch anyone in December, mate, to be fair. Okay.
Just on that point, just a small little thing. Is anybody looking at the West Brom guy, Dian? I thought he was really good. The eye test totally fits, but he'll be, you know what? If I talk about him as a captaincy differential, it'll eventually definitely come back to hurt me. It'll be definitely a troll, but hey.
We have put a captain differential for a West Brom player once before, and it failed miserably. Thank you. So yeah, maybe I don't know. I mean, look, he appeared on the Scout. He was on that troll list of the players who was selected.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, of those 13, 14 players. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, look, personally, I can't put my faith in anyone who Mike Bassett puts on the team for me. Anyone who Allardyce, I just there's something about it. It's just a no. It's just a no.
And at your rank, you shouldn't be taking that kind of dramatic, off the record kind of, off the beaten track kind of decisions. Just play sensible, do the right thing.
Okay, so that's the captaincy side of things. So we'll just summarise it. So we've got Community is Gundogan, Metrics Gundogan. Catpick has gone with Kane. He's gone for a single game weaker. And the differential is Antonio. Mm-hmm. So let's see how we do. And now we can go to the questions. So we've got, I do like your little Twitter picture. Don't panic, right? You certainly haven't panicked this season with those Liverpool assets, have you?
Well, I haven't panicked, but I haven't scored too many points either. So.
Right. So anyway, I've got the times to go to start clicking. So, righty ho. Where's the first question? I thought it was 11:19. Why did I get an 11:19 written down here? No, maybe not. It's disappeared. Right, hang on a second, guys. I'm trying to find the questions. Where are we? How about Spurs defenders? I went for one of Sanchez or Toby because I can't afford Reguilon. Anyone want to give us any hints on Spurs defence? I mean, look, don't ask. I have no idea. I was all set to bring Reguilon in, and now he didn't play. Any views?
I don't think there are options. One, they won't keep clean sheets against better teams. So what are you looking at here? Is it just like a 2-week investment? Is it just for game week 29? It seems like with so many other good like quality defensive assets, like options that we could choose, going Spurs is not interesting to me at all because of the rotation. Reguilon would be the pick, but he will be rotated as well. So I'm out on Spurs defense.
Yeah, neither me. Just come out of injury as well. Nope.
They have got some good fixtures though, haven't they?
Yeah, but they're not a good team.
That's quite direct. Good.
Well, you get used to this because he hates Mourinho. That's why. You should know that.
That I do too. Hey, I'm an Arsene Wenger acolyte. I hate Mourinho for the core of my heart.
Right, here's a question from Nehal. With Randolph possibly out and Fabianski not training, are Bamford and Rafinha more attractive options? Barnes to Rafinha. Guys, any thoughts?
Rafinha is the move that I have made to replace Barnes. So that's the move I had made. So the reason was not really the goalkeeper situation at West Ham, but Rafinha is a really good player, and I do see West Ham probably edging the match, but I do see Leeds scoring something. But I haven't seen that as a major factor that Fabianski is not there. But maybe it is. That is the move that I have made personally.
I think Fabianski will be back, first of all. But I also think Rafinha is the best, other than Gundogan, of course, is the best budget midfield option you can get. Just so involved, increasingly a talisman for Leeds. But not so. I don't think this is the best week to bring him in, but he is one of the best replacements you can get for Barnes.
Yeah, are we close to a bargain bucket midfield, boys?
Maybe skinny midsection, little.
Yeah,
big booty, skinny midsection.
Yeah, little skinny midsections. Yeah, that's an interesting way of putting it, Gabe.
Hey, it's Friday, right?
So, who's going to go for a skinny midsection? What's the point? Who's going to be in your skinny midsection?
Who wants the skinny midsection and the big booty? Is how you want? Now you need to think about your FPL.
Who's the big booty then? Kane.
Well, no, the big booty is the big at the back because the FDR things should go towards defense. That the defense.
Sean's been doing that for ages with his
we know what Sean's tastes are, don't we?
No, now you do. Yeah.
I mean, with all seriousness, such, whilst I'm looking for some more questions, we've got some really good options in there at the moment. You've got Saki, you've got Rafinha, you've got Lingard now, albeit if you can bench him in 28 because he's not going to be able to play against United. You've got Lookman, who potentially might do a bit of good against Leeds in 29. There's some really nice, and you've got Soucek. You will forget about Soucek as well. He's still sat there. Maybe not the explosive option like Rafinha. I think that's a general.
You have Mount and you have
Mount, yes.
You have Mount and Jota coming in as well. Like you can have a midfield, right, of Saka, Rafinha, Lingard, Mount, and Jota.
I'm gonna have about 75 million in the bank.
Well, then here comes the big booty, right? Then you go Diaz, right? Cancelo. Who else can you throw in there? Trent. I think Trent Alexander-Arnold is doing well. I think he's going to do much better. Do not get rid of Trent, Sean.
Don't do this to me. Don't do this to me.
Keep Trent.
You basically come back and say that mine is the best team there is, right?
No, we're going to find what you'll work out, Sean, is that the moment we find something to take the piss out of the guest, then it's done.
Exactly. This is a nice roundabout way of doing it, right?
We just skirt around it. What we're doing is like we skirt around the edges, trying to find a weakness, and then go for it.
Just go for the kill, yeah.
Like double teaming, right? Right, here we go. Anyway, we're talking rubbish as usual. Right, okay. So, Devindra, considering Watkins' games, so Wolves, Newcastle, Spurs,
Sure.
Spies.
Autocorrect, a little autocorrect there.
Not playing Leeds, is he? Oh, to Antonio. So considering Watkins to Antonio, Leeds, Man U, Arsenal, Wolves. What do you think, guys? Sideways. Double game week is the first thing which strikes me, but
yeah, Watkins has an extra game.
Yeah,
and Antonio has a lot better stats.
But he's playing. So Antonio's playing Leeds. So I'd fancy him. We've already talked him up against them. Man U, that could be tight. Arsenal could be tight. Wolves are conceding a few chances at the moment.
I wouldn't do that yet. I don't think.
Yeah, neither me.
No, not for now. No. And the other thing is, the law of the Sob's law is the moment you do it, they'll announce this double game week, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
It's one reason why I think, Gabe, both me and you are possibly not going to sell Barnes this week. We're just going to leave him rotting for a week on the bench because we're thinking of We're thinking, is that the obvious move to Grealish if he gets his double game week and we don't know about it?
Exactly. We want to have it for when it gets announced.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. That makes sense.
So okay. Rajveer's apologising. He's a little bit late. I know. I wanted to ask, do I bring Cresswell in now or in 29? That's an interesting question because I have started to do some preparation for next week's show because we nearly did 29 this week, Gabe, didn't we? And then your house move got in the way a little bit, and we had to do a bit of a rethink. Cresswell comes out quite well on those stats. In fact, to the point that you said, I'm not really that bothered about looking at him because he's quite popular anyway.
Mm-hmm.
To me, I like the look of Cresswell. I still like the look of Cresswell. The fixtures, though, I don't know. There's something about West Ham's fixtures to me. They just don't scream points.
No.
Leeds, Man United, Arsenal, Wolves, Leicester, Newcastle, Chelsea.
Yeah, there's games there, but there's nothing which really. There's no run on consistent 2 or 3 good,
And Cresswell isn't affordable, cheap anymore, is he? He was 5.0, 5.1 at that price. 5.0, I think he's a great asset. What is he? 5.8 now?
Yeah,
I can't remember. I'd have to check.
After 5.6, I let go. It's gone. That boat is in.
Well, now of course, after 5.6, when you have 2 defenders totaling 15 million on in your team, you can't
it's cheap. You may as well just go for another one. You may as well go for the full house.
Oh my God!
Who else?
Just coming back.
I reckon it's right. What you need is you need Trent, you need Trent, you need Robbo, you need Diaz, Cancelo, and Dean. There we go.
I pretty much have that. Instead of Diaz, I have Stones. That's it. That's my defense. That is my defense.
Yeah, an interesting comment. This is just a general comment, but with both keepers, it's mentioned about the keepers being out. Do you think Fabianski might be back, mate?
I think. I mean, it's an arm injury. I don't know the extent of it, but I don't think it's too serious. I expect him back, but I don't really have much information.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, righty ho. Right, I'm just going to look last few, I think. I just think we're about done.
There are a few in there. Arjota and Lingard.
Can you see any? Just looking. Here we go.
Advice on Bruno Cancelo to KDB.
Any of you guys thinking 29 as an anomaly and not signing players for that game week and deciding to take a red arrow and continuing? I'm going to start this debate. I think to a certain extent, yes. I think I don't think it's going to be I might be proved wrong, but I don't think it's going to be a very high-scoring game week. I think there's going to be a lot of teams will take points off each other, as I mentioned earlier. But I also think that the defensive matchups perhaps look better than the attacking ones, as we've also said. So my perspective here is I think you will need to own the key ownership players. If you don't, you're going to get slammed. Mm-hmm. But apart from that, I think what you do around the edges is go for some nice differentials. That's what I would be. That's the way I would play it. And I would probably aim for 8 or 9.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know whether you would. If you want to add anything, guys?
Eight was my number. 8 is the number that I'm going with as well. 8 plus captain is like 9 players. So what I was thinking was just letting go of it is not a fair idea. As in, you'd still on that game week have an average score of 30, 35 odd, right?
Yeah.
So what are you saying by letting go? Getting 10 points? That's like a 25-point drop. And that's like, depending on your game week, that's nearly $500,000 drop at times, right? Yeah, you cannot afford that. Yeah. So don't do that.
It's bloody hard work at 5K, mate. I tell you what, you make one wrong decision, you're off.
Exactly. So you don't do that. You get an optimal number of players. At the least, have 6 or 7 players and just go for it. Pick the right 6 players, right 7 players, and then just go for it. Don't let go of it. That's not a good idea.
No, I mean, I've got Fulham players, so there's no point moving them out, but I'll move them out afterwards. If Martinez picks a knock-up or something, I can always, you never know, I might even play Areola against Leeds, I might even play him just to see what happens. Mm-hmm. But no, I mean, the second part of Rajiv's question was I was not buying players from Fulham, Brighton, or Newcastle. I think Brighton, might be overlooking something there, Rajiv, because I think they are... Particularly if you went, I could, in my position, because I've got quite a high team value. I might be able to get away with owning Dunk, but you might want to be considering Burn at 4.2 or White at 4.4. They can sit on your bench till the end of the season. There's still games, and they will play, so they're a good bench option, in my view. So and they're playing 29, and I'm sure they're playing 33 as well.
Yeah.
Yes.
I agree with Sean that you don't totally throw it away, but you also don't have to bring players in the way the pack is bringing players in, right? You can differentiate and just kind of shoot for a gray arrow. I did that in game week 18. I got a small red, and I had, I think, 7 players. And a small red was good because it set me up moving forward. But just anticipating the matchups article, I think Brighton and Arsenal players are going to be some to look at. That will be Brighton good players defensively for that game week, and players that are cheap enough, like you said, Mariner, to rot on your bench for the rest of the season. And then Arsenal, a cheeky kind of investment into the future, starting in that game week 29. So I've already started my Arsenal hauling Arsenal players in. So that's one way that I'm going to start preparing for it. But I'll have in more detail matchups.
Now, I agree. Arsenal for the longer term, Brighton probably for the shorter term. But what I would also say is don't just look at 29 in isolation.
Right.
Look at 30, because the games 30. A lot of the players in 29 have a very, very favourable game week 30. And that's where actually, if you've still got your bench boost and you've managed to put a decent side together for 29, bench boost 30, as per the thread I put out the other week, looks pretty tasty. For example, Leeds are playing Sheffield United. So that could be the time. I mean, God, no, not another bench boost fail with Leeds, But you would think that you'd fancy them to do that. FPL banger, Siver, one of our friends, best Manchester City attacker for this week, not named Gundogan.
Is named KDB.
KDB. Yeah. I do not say KDB. No. I don't think KDB is even the third best. I would be Gundogan, for me would be number one. Number two would be Sterling. His XG, his chances, what he's doing on that side, and he's gaining some form. He's less jittery. Number four for me, or number three. No, then it would be Mahrez after that, and then it would be KDB after Mahrez for this game week. For only for 27. For the long term, I don't know yet. I don't think I would go beyond Gundogan.
I'll tell you something. I like the Mahrez pick, but what I was also seeing in the match, and this is pretty much what you saw in that the chart that you showed, is that, and this is what I was seeing in the match as well. It was very often that Jesus and Mahrez, Jesus and Sterling were pretty much taking the same position. Yeah. And at one point of time, Jesus was about to shoot the ball, and Mahrez came in, and they were not very happy at each other. So that's a little tricky over there. I'm sure Pep would have figured that out and solved it, but there's an interesting observation there as well. So I'm not trusting so much Mahrez and not trusting Jesus and Sterling so much, but Mahrez is a fantastic.
So I mean, don't let anybody put you off Sterling, because I don't own him anymore. So that's bound to his. You just know what's going to happen, right?
The thing about Jesus is really interesting though, because Jesus he's not a player with high awareness. So what he does, he likes to shift to that, like from their attacking side, the left side of the box, that where Sterling is on the outside. But what Jesus also does is he parks himself in front of KDB. So KDB can't push forward into the box because Jesus is there. I agree with you. Jesus is a big problem in this team, and Pep needs to stop playing Jesus. To be perfectly honest, he's blocking KDB's runs into the box. He's blocking Sterling's shots, and he's blocking Gundogan's runs into the box. He's the one that's disrupting the flow of the midfielders, in my opinion.
Yeah, without the ball, he's not very good. With the ball, he's fine. He's a good player. Sure. But without the ball, he struggles.
Without the ball is not very good. And Gabe says, with the ball is not very good.
Fair enough.
Who is the best Shaw replacement with game week 29 in perspective? Gabe, I'm going to come to you.
Straight to me. Well, I made my Shaw replacement. I took Shaw out. It's already done. And I brought Tierney in. Kieran Tierney. I see all the Arsenal fans applauding right now. I like Tierney because I like him as a differential pick for 29. People aren't looking at Arsenal yet, but they will be looking at Arsenal very soon, in my opinion. The other thing I like about Tierney is that he plays an important role in the newfound identity of the team. Without Tierney on that left side, right, then all the pieces just don't quite fit together. And I think Tierney really just completes the whole thing. And he attacks. He sends tons of crosses in there. His XA is going to be really high. He even before his rest, before he got injured, he was getting close to goal as well. So I think Tierney's the best replacement for game week 29 and forward, and for this game week too. Burnley.
My choice would be Dunk. Because I think they've got three amazing. The fixture, their matchups for the next 4 weeks are really, really solid. That would be my choice, and he's clearly he's got a goal in him somewhere. He has to, Bloody referees can't keep stealing goals off him. But I mean, look, and he's on dead balls as well. It's crazy, right? So why not? I'm going to go with Lewis Dunk for that. But I agree. I think Arsenal are an excellent shout. There's another question here. So Dean, I've still got Loughton I want to do for a Brighton defender. I think Brighton defence, is well worth a look.
And I think it depends on your team value, which one you bring in, right? Mariner can bring in Dunk because his team value is about 150.
It feels like it.
But if you're strapped for cash, Mariner mentioned Burn and Cash are great options, and they can sit on your bench.
Yeah.
Here's one. Bruno, advice on Bruno Cancelo to KDB, Rudiger, yay or nay? Looking to bench Bruno this week. That's brave, but not out the question. I think I'd sell him rather than bench him, though.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think about this move here, Sean?
I would not do it.
No.
You know what? I would not do it. This is, as in, more than Bruno, I'm concerned about not having Cancelo during this time. It's a double game week. Cancelo has had his rest, and he's kind of essential to the way they play. And especially, see, the thing is, with Man United, they'd like to play with their best team. With Southampton, they'd like to play somebody who's kind of press resistant. And Cancelo is excellent against the high press that Southampton does. He'll play both matches. Not having Cancelo, even more than Bruno, I'm very worried about not having Cancelo. Yeah. And do you really, you know what, benching Bruno and then him getting 14 points, that kills your...
I'd just sell him. I'd sell him. That would exactly happen to me. Exactly. If I wouldn't bench him, I'd sell him. If it was me. Yeah. Because at least then you're not going to be killing yourself on the, kicking yourself around the room because you put him on the bench and he goes crazy. Just one question from me, guys. And again, it comes back to this thing about City 2 defenders to possibly drop into 1. Who would you sell? Stones?
For Rudiger? Yeah. No, I wouldn't sell it. I wouldn't sell any Man City.
Well, let's say Rudiger. If you were looking to put your Manchester City asset into midfield, that extra asset into midfield, so you've got 2 in defence at the moment. You've got, let's say, like me, you've got Stones, Cancelo, and Gundogan. I agree. Cancelo's going nowhere, right? But I might want to keep Gundogan. Yeah. And I may want to be selling Stones. Now, Stones, to me, he's just scored a goal. He looked great. But I just can't help but think he might be a bit more rotation of a risk than Diaz. So, is Stones the easier sell?
I think you have to ask yourself what the opportunity cost is here. So if you're looking to bring in a Man City attacker, most likely a midfielder. We just talked about the plethora of midfielders, of quality midfield options available. So if we're looking, when you have kind of comparable assets, then you turn to value, right? So Manchester City, if you're going to go midfield other than Gundogan, you're going to pay a lot of money. So you're going to sacrifice getting somebody like Saka, like Rafinha, like Lingard, to bring in somebody like Mahrez or Sterling, and in the meantime, letting go of a good value City defender. It just seems all fraught for me. So I would not.
It's interesting. It's something I've toyed with. Is whether because KDB is someone. It's always one of those ones where you're thinking, do I need to move? Do I need to move towards him or not? Righty ho. Here we go. Jota, he's back. Salah to Jota, anybody?
Close, it's getting there. I mean, we have to see Jota first. Right?
I'm seriously thinking that because I still think Liverpool's fixtures are good.
Yeah.
Thinking, do I actually do what we've done with City and go, do you know what? Why pay 12.6 million? Let's have someone at 6.6 and put the money somewhere else. Although, I mean, look at this, right? I could have an extra team.
Well, here's what I say. Like, if I move from Salah to Jota, I will most likely move a defender to Trent. If I do that.
And I would tell you something. This is not really an FPL decision. This is a footballing decision. Do you think that with Jota coming in, Liverpool will have a turnaround? Yes. They're absolutely, they're absolutely horrible at form. They're in absolute horrible form at this moment, right? Do you think with Jota coming in, they'll have a turnaround? If yes, then that's a good move to make. If no, then it isn't. If you think Jota will be sucked into the mediocrity, then it isn't a good move. So it's a football decision for you to want to take. So right. I do not go either way. I do not have that decision to make, so I'm not going either way.
And the other thing to consider is if yes, right? If he does work, does that make Salah better? Does that open up things for Salah, and does he become the Salah of old? And then do we regret getting rid of him? So lots of moving pieces here.
Or TAA. Wow. This is crazy. TAA is an attacking asset, right? Yeah.
And he's been attacking better in recent weeks. So
Okay, right. This is a little bit of a longer question, but I'm going to put this up, and I think what we'll do, I'll just have a quick look through. I think this probably might be the last question we take, unless there's anything of which we're not repeating ourselves further down. So I'll let you guys. Could we have some insight into the process of picking differentials? Do we look long term, for example, somebody like Ricardo, or completely disregard them if surrounding fixture difficulty looks poor? I think, but I will just say one thing here. A differential, generally speaking, there has to be some. You can't go to. There's got to be some reason to bring that play. You have to have something. You have to have something. It's not just a punt. It's a thought. I have X. I have fixtures. I have form. I have maybe a couple of those things. You've seen something which is, and then you're looking through, and you in your plan, you're going, right, okay. I can see an option for Lingard, for example, let's say, or someone like that who's clearly
Milivojevic, for example, as a differential.
Yeah, rather than Milivojevic, that's right. Yeah, just on the off chance that they might get a penalty in the next century. So, what's your view on that? And I'll just quickly scroll through to see if there's anything else.
Sean, how do you see this?
So you know what? My entire way of playing is based upon not thinking differential, but thinking price points, and within that price point, the people that fit in well. So sometimes these are differentials, sometimes these are not. And moreover, you know what? I believe that there are two kinds of differentials, right? This entire thought of differentials. One is those absolute differentials where nobody's having it. You have a person who's like 1% owned, right? And then there are the other kind of picks in specific zones who are, as in, picking Robertson at last season, say for example, picking Robertson at 15% as opposed to Trent at 25%. That in a way is, so is a differential too. So I do not really, and it also depends upon where exactly you are as well, right? So maybe sometimes risks are worth it. Like at this moment, I have taken a -8 hit. I wouldn't have taken a -8 hit if I would have been at 5K, right? I would have just, done the most sensible traditional move. So I can, at this point of time, I'm a little more liberated. I can take a Cancelo triple captain kind of a move because it wouldn't matter so much to me. But the rest of my team, I like to believe, is good, right? So it's, again, I'd like to echo what Mariner said, right? A differential isn't just you've taken somebody who's 0.5% owned, right? There must be a thought behind it. These are the 5 game weeks post this where Tierney at 7% owned is a sensible decision. And that is because Arsenal is in form and they're getting overloads on the left side. Saka tends to cut in and Tierney has a very high XA number. Mm-hmm. That is a sensible decision. But then you're not thinking differential. You're thinking an overall team. And where are these gaps within that overall team where you can take advantage of, one player over the other. So yeah, kind of, again, repeating what Mariner said, it's not just about percentages. It's about a little bit more than that.
For me, I pick a differential by when I watch the games. I see it's like hidden trends when there's a pattern, when a pattern starts to emerge, and it's just about jumping on the pattern before the pattern becomes public, kind of thing. And that's how you ride the waves of that's how I ride the waves of differentials.
Yeah, because the differential, you've got some. For example, I owned Jota quite earlier in the season, but not as early as my son, who made massive gains on Jota. I think he was on about 2 or 3 weeks before me, and I was laughing at him. And eventually, I'm moving that way. Same with Bamford. Bamford was a differential at the start of the season, wasn't he? Mm-hmm. Look at him.
Exactly.
So, and when players come back from injury, Jota will be a differential now. Again, because he's going to be lowly owned. I would just add one more thing about differentials because I think it's a fantastic subject. Don't forget combinations of players as differentials as well.
Yeah.
How many people own KDB and Gundogan?
Right.
That's a differential in itself.
3 City Defenders.
3 City Defenders is the differential in itself.
Yeah.
Owning TAA and Robertson is
And Robertson.
I was just about to expect that was coming at me. Yeah, there we are.
There's no more perfect way to put a bow on this episode.
That was. I can see that from a mile off, guys. I can see that from a mile off.
Oh God! I just couldn't resist it. I couldn't resist it, guys.
No. It's all good. It's all good.
Funny, but yeah, and I mean that's it, guys. I think we'll knock it on the head. There's quite a few people saying thank you very much. Yeah, I mean it's great. We try our best to try and make this an entertaining alternative look at FPL. I think that's the way we are. We are not going to be like some pods where, you know, we're going to be a lot more of number people than we are. Certainly I am. Gabe's coming in from the opposite angle. And, of course, Shom's just picking all Liverpool players. But anyway, there we go. But we can't ignore the fact that, and the other thing, Shom, and just to finish, I wanted to bring this point up with you, and it's a very serious point. I was a bit worried earlier on in the week when you said, I'm thinking I'd just give up. I would just give an appeal to everybody out there. Even now, set yourself a little target, have some fun, pick some differentials, try and get your strategy right for next season. Relax, have a bit of fun, keep watching these pods, not just ours, but all the others. There's The Wire and all those great pods out there. Keep reading stuff on Twitter, keep reading Gabe's articles on All About FPL. Keep following Shom for his Liverpool picks, and just enjoy yourselves, because I think at the end of the day, you end up in a situation where, my son today, I've had enough, Dad, 65 points for a double game week. I've packed it, I'm packing it in. I said, well, why not just try and just do something just for a bit of a laugh for the rest of the season?
Very well said. Very well said. Very well said. It's a journey. Yeah.
Because 5 million, I'm not saying 5 million, 500,000 can still be 200,000, right?
50K. 50K is my target.
100,000. It doesn't really matter where you are. Yeah. And that's that. So we'll call it a day. Thank you very much, Shom. I appreciate it, as always. Gabe, thank you very much. Have a great time in... Are you going up to Phoenix this weekend?
Yeah, leaving the Phoenix this afternoon. We're going to see our new house. They've accepted an offer. We're going to look at it. And
fabulous. I bet the kids are excited.
It's all happening.
Yeah, fabulous.
I want to thank everyone in the chat. The chat's been lit. It's been great today. It's been really good.
Absolutely. It'll be Isha and I are doing the crow's nest in the morning. If you just want to come along and just, we might just continue this general piss take of Shom, of course, and his Liverpool. Welcome. But I'm only joking. We love you, really. But yeah, come along, just have a chat and a chill. It's just an hour of just chit chat, and you never know what comments are going to come up. We had some very strange comments already. We've had to explain what FPL is to someone already as well.
Did we? Oh Christ!
That once. But anyway, guys, thank you very much as always, and I'll wrap it up. So thanks, guys. So that's it, everybody. Another long pod, but I hope you agreed that there's plenty of content in there and some very interesting stuff to think about. We're going to have to get one eye on 29 now, but for now, let's see what we can do with 27. Let's keep these arrows green. If you like this, please do give it a like. Please do give it a subscribe. Please do retweet it on Twitter as well. You find me at FPL Mariner. You'll find Gabe's at FPL Lens, Shom at Bagel Boy FPL, and you'll also find Gabe's matchup articles at All About FPL, and also www.allaboutfpl.com, which is obviously Surya's website. So apart from that, all I can say is have a great day, and we'll see you soon. All the best. Thank you. Bye-bye.